Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex45. We got Eli Block in the building tonight. What's going on, man? How's things?
Oh, they're going. How about you?
Man, listen, talking off here, you already know, um, you know, it's life. My truck is down, got to get an engine replaced. Hopefully it'll be up and running before I get to go to Roblin in a few weeks and, try to have some fun. I saw that you posted online right after your second round at, I believe it was Barber, that you had vehicle issues as well. So I know you feel the pain.
Yeah, no, it definitely. Luckily, unluckily at the same time, it happened in a time where I didn't have to rush back for school. I didn't have any commitments other than just like work, just like to get back. So I got stranded for a day in Alabama. It's the worst feeling. After a weekend, super hot, just like trying like had some up and downs and just trying to get home. And I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get home. Can't wait to sleep in my own bed and make some money, go to work, and hear something drop out of the engine. I feel like a connecting rod's dragging on the ground on the highway, and pulled over. Got stranded there on the highway for 3 hours. Got help down to a rest stop, and stayed there for a day. Grabbed a U-Haul, hooked up the trailer, and drove home. My van's still down in Alabama, so
Wow.
we'll figure something out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in a situation like that, what do you do? I don't think I've told a story on air. So in 2021, when the pandemic happened in 2020, but in 2021, I decided to do all the rounds on Azra CCS. And my first round out, leaving from Boston to Homestead, I totaled my truck in DC. So I know what it's like to get stranded and trying to still go on. So what's that like? What's that process like for you? Is it the first time this happened? And obviously you're back home now and stuff like that. So it seemed from the outside that it's just like a bump in the road.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's it's funny. It's the first time it's ever happened to me, and obviously, the first thing that you do is call your parents, like
Right.
at my age. You're like, hey, what do I do? Like, what's the plan from here? And I call my dad. He's like, beats the shit out of me. I don't know. I've never had this happen to me either. So I'm like, wow, that's great. Good to know. So I have to learn this one by myself. So luckily we have AAA. So luckily, and you know what? Thank God, I had the best tow truck driver in the world. Man was like, he didn't know I had a trailer, even though I told the people I have a trailer,
Right.
and he didn't tell me. So he's like, there's luckily on the exit I was on the actually the on ramp. So they shut down the highway, turned around. I coasted down the hill to a rest stop that had a rest area,
Okay.
and he helped me tear apart the dog house inside the van and kind of look at the engine. We found the intake manifold off the engine, cracked my head. And then
Wow.
also, I haven't got a call back from the dealership, but from a quick look, two of my spark plugs shot out of my head. So it's just weird stuff. But hopefully we get the band back and rolling. But luckily, one of my dad's really good friends, and I would call him a dad, has let me borrow his truck for the next 3 weeks so I can go to Wisconsin, back to New Hampshire for the Loudon Classic, back to Brainerd the week after for in Minnesota for MotoAmerica. So luckily, it could have been a lot worse. I could have got hurt. Could have been a lot of other things, but
Right.
nothing was damaged other than my van. So that's fixable.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about it. The vehicle can get replaced and stuff like that. So, luckily, you got it worked out and you got a vehicle to get around for the next few weeks and stuff like that. How's it been? Second round. Let's talk about Barbara.
Barber's Barber's interesting. I've always had a love-hate relationship with Barber. I've never, I went down there for the first time ever in 2022 to go test tires for Michelin, and second session my tranny blew up. So that blew up my engine. So I was kind of left in a weird situation there, but we found a fix. But then the next time I went was last year. I got flown out to the Barber Vintage Festival to go ride a prototype bike, and that blew up third lap. And then the other bike I rode, Dale Quarterly's Ninja 400, that blew up on me, locked up on me, going into museum corner. So it's like
I can
coming into the round, I was
relationship.
like,
wow.
yeah, like I've never had a bike blow up on me in my life other than that R6, which we didn't build. We bought it from someone and we went through it, but it was just from the previous owner's mistake that this caused it. So it's like I never had a mechanical in my life, knock on wood.
Right.
And like all this happened, and I'm like, dude, what is going on here? Like, this track's fun, I love it, but it's like, what's going on? And then this was my first ever MotoAmerica professional round by myself. My dad wasn't able to go, so it's like coming into it, I wasn't trying to think about it, but it definitely, the thought crossed my head once or twice where it's like, shit, something better not happen here. I mean, I have another engine, but I want to be doing this.
Right.
So, yeah, that was kind of coming into it. I know a lot of people, it's kind of funny looking around because social media tells you so much stuff now where it's like, I see half the kids in my class out testing a week before.
Right.
I know there's 7 kids right now at Road America testing tomorrow for a track day. So, you see all this stuff, and first practice, I'm one of those kids now where it's like I go out and take offs. I go out and take offs for the first practice, then the rest of the week I'll get new stuff. But it's like there's no point in practice. Not gaining anything, it doesn't count towards anything. So it's funny where, you see all these kids practicing and testing, and nothing wrong about it. I mean, I wish I can do that as well. But,
right.
I came out, and I was actually talking to my dad about this, but I came out in Atlanta, never been to that track before, people testing there the week before, and I got second in first practice. And then same with Barber. I've been there 2 times, but never on my own bikes. And first session, I was top of the board by 3/10.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's, it's cool. That definitely, no matter what, that first practice is always, you can take it as a brush off your shoulder, like, oh, cool. Like, okay, I got 7th. That's not, it's my first time here, or, it just doesn't matter. But also when you do get those top 3s, it's like, all right, cool. This is a good little boost of confidence going into qualifying. I feel good.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty good. Qualifying, I'm trying to think. We kind of all weekend, I was talking to you off camera about this, but we kind of got screwed in Junior Cup. It rained every single night. We woke up with the track half wet every morning.
Wow.
So, we would be the first or second practice out. And, first practice, that first practice when I topped the board, it was a little bit wet. And I was just I was playing a game with another rider. I know the other rider was fast, so I kind of played a game where I did one slow lap to give us a gap and one fast lap to see if I can close the gap.
Right.
And kept on doing that the whole entire 25-minute session, and paid off. And then I tried doing that same exact thing in qualifying, and didn't work out as well. But I ended up, I don't even know where I ended up in qualifying one. I'd have to look at the results. Probably shouldn't have done this before.
It's all good, man. It's a lot has happened since qualifying one.
Yeah. So Q1, I think I did pretty okay. I think it may be like 4th or 5th. I don't know. We'll say that.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Actually, it might have been 2nd.
Right. And I felt like you were up there. And for a track that,
we're going to look this up now.
You have not had the luck you would have liked.
For sure.
That's pretty interesting. Now, how much did weather play a part in the qualifying and also in the first race?
It didn't make too big of a difference in qualifying 1, but qualifying 2, it made a difference. Definitely. Sorry. Yeah, I ended up 4th. All right, 4th in Q1.
Okay.
Nice. It made a big difference in Q2.
Okay.
That's kind of where my weekend turned. I went 1st, 4th, feeling pretty good. Went to Q2. It was really wet. Track was like not drying. So I waited. I sat on the side, fully suited, bike sitting there on the pit lane on warmers, and I'm just looking at the track, waiting. Me and Ryan Wolf are looking at each other. We're standing next to each other talking. We're like, there's no point. We're third and fourth in qualifying right now. Like,
Right.
we're going to wait until we start seeing times dropping, like dangerously close to our times.
Right.
So we waited, and we got about probably 12 minutes left in the session where we made a decision where, all right. Actually, yeah, we waited, went out, and, we were going to work together. So that was cool. Went out, did our first few laps, and, our first lap. Track's a little wet, not too crazy. I'm just going to work, keep on going. Then another rider came and started, like, he was going faster in the session. He was out there the whole entire session, so he knew the track pretty well, the conditions. And we're going into Charlotte's Web, which is the hardest braking on the track of Barber. So we're going in, and I'm on the inside of Ryan, and then this other rider's here, and he starts slowing up. And we're like, okay, that's kind of weird. So it forces us to the inside. And now we're 3 wide going into Charlotte's, which is on a normal day, that's fine.
Right.
But I was all the way on the inside, and he started turning in. We're like, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. And I got the short end of the stick, and there was a super damp on the inside, and I cracked on the throttle. Thing completely spit me off. Probably one of the harder high sides I've ever had in my life. Luckily, everyone says, oh yeah, you're a kid, you balance. And luckily I have my whole entire life until about now.
Yeah.
It was more of a splat, I would like to say. I hit the ground, didn't bounce, and I maybe slid for about 2 feet.
Okay.
So it was one of those quick stops.
Right.
Where, I'd rather have a high side and keep spinning, like keep sliding, and so it kind of just doesn't as hard of an impact. But that was one of them.
Similar to crashing, I guess, in a dirt bike, right?
Yeah, it's definitely, everything comes real fast. But actually, I was thinking about it because we were mentioning how the weather affected. It actually started raining with 7 minutes left in Q1, qualifying one. It started raining halfway through a session. And I remember this because I just thought back to it. 5 people crashed right before pit entrance.
Right.
There's over a little tunnel and drop down. Right before the tunnel, it G's out, and 5 people in a row crashed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It kept on crashing, going up it. And I luckily just saw it because the kid right in front of me did it, and I just went full flat track around the whole entire corner, foot down, hope and pray I don't crash. And so we didn't get the last 6 minutes of that qualifying session as well. So we kind of got, we'll say, practice 1, qualifying 1, Q2. I think, that was about it. Those 3 sessions were affected by weather.
Right. And then the race on Saturday was that what was the conditions like on that? And talk us through that a little bit.
The conditions were great. Track temp was perfect. It was kind of like, it was our first time in the weekend that we really had hot track temps. And, especially with Barber is very well known for tearing tires.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's cold tear or it's just, if it's just perfect temperature, it'll still tear tires just because that's how the gradient is in the asphalt. But, we didn't have much time with that. And after my crash, I got very lucky after my crash, only having to replace a rear set.
Right.
So, luckily I had one of my my teammate's dad, his friend, was there helping us. So he was kind of wrenching on my bike during the weekend.
Oh, nice.
And he's an ex-racer, so he was wrenching for me all weekend. And I don't know what it was. It could have been maybe him or just, there's so much going on during a MotoAmerica weekend that it's no one's fault. But one of my bolts got a little bit loose in my shifter.
Mm-hmm.
So during the first race, I started in, I think I ended up 7th. So went out there, got a really good start. I was super aggressive on the first lap. I went from probably 8th to 2nd before the museum corner, which is only about 7th corner maybe.
Okay.
So I was just moving kids out of my way. And the next lap, I just, I was starting to settle in a little bit. And the next lap, I just grabbed a downshift and went straight to false neutral going into the top of museum corner, went flying over the curbing and went straight into the gravel trap. So I went from second to 23rd. And of
Right.
course, they catch it all on TV where I'm saving it. I drop it in the gravel.
Yeah, I
So
saw that a little bit.
I think everyone saw it. So that happens, and then I just rode like my life depended on it.
Right.
Like I'm here for championship. So these are the days, as I posted on Facebook, it's like these are the days that championships are won.
Right.
Like I had this bad situation, and it could have been caused for many different reasons, but like I got put in a situation, and now it's my time to go. Like luckily it was on the second lap, so I still had another 9 laps to go out there and do something. So I went from 23rd up to 13th what was it? Let me think of the math. In 6 laps.
Oh wow.
In 6 laps, I went
Yeah.
from 23rd to 11th.
Yeah.
And it's not like they're all big pack. They're all spread out.
Right.
So with 3 to go, like obviously as a racer, when you're thrown in that situation, you're like, okay, with lap 2, you're like, oh man, I don't want to wish this on people, but I really hope there's a red flag or something.
Right.
And that definitely went across my head.
Right.
And then I started catching, like going through the pack, and there was a group of 4 people in front of me with 3 to go, and I'm catching them over a second a lap, and I'm running the same pace as the leaders by myself, and I'm starting to catch them, and then a red flag comes out, and I'm like, shit, like not now, like I did this like 6 laps ago, not right now.
Right.
And they called the race, so I ended in 13th, but 2 of the people in front of me got disqualified, so I got those 2 spots up to 11th.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an okay amount of points, probably like 5 points,
Right.
but
Right.
just to control the damage.
Right.
So I looked back at the race, and I couldn't. I saw the shifter was loose at the end of the race when we looked over the bike and stuff, but it could have been that, or it could have been me being a little bit too aggressive. So we made a few changes for the next morning and warm up.
Right.
But in the race, I was like, you know what? I gotta maybe for the first few laps calm myself down, not be making these crazy moves, and like obviously I'll make my way up to the front, but I'm gonna take a deep breath and stay there, and then I'll make it later in the race. So we made a gearing change for Sunday morning, which was warm up. We had a really good track for Sunday.
Right.
And I ended up being second, running the same time as the fastest lap of the race from the day before. So it was definitely a good step in the right direction. It was funny because I told my Chuck, the guy who was wrenching for me, I was like, hey, here's the plan. I'm gonna go out there by myself so I can work on my solo pace and see if this gearing is better than I had to solo pace yesterday with this gearing because I was by myself during the race. Now let's do some solo pace stuff with this gearing, which is what we were running the first session. So we went out there, and I kind of backed myself up, found a good space, and I got out there and did solo laps. And I'm looking at my lap timer. I'm like, okay, I'm running mid 37s. I'm doing really good. And I look up because Barber has the scoring tower,
Right.
so you can look at that. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not even in the top like 15. Like there's no way. And I keep on looking at it. I'm like, there's no way people are running 36s or this much faster than me on a Sunday morning warm up. I'm catching and passing people. And I keep on looking at it. And then at the end of the session, I'm like, what the hell? Like, good for these other people, but like, what did I do wrong? I pull into pit lane and I stop. I like pull into like Matthew Schultz pit because me and Matthew became friends this year. Like we've been friendly with each other. I helped him at Atlanta just during the rain stuff, and we were just giving him. We were talking back and forth about how the rain, like the track was with the rain, if there was any puddles, stuff. So I pull into his pit, and he's like, "There you go." I was like, "What do you mean? I got like 16th or something." He's like, "No, you got second." I'm like, "What?" And the board was just broken for the rest of Sunday. I was like, "Oh, just put me through a full panic attack in the last 15 minutes just to realize this."
Nice. So that's a lot of confidence going into starting the day out.
For sure. that's definitely a good way to start a Sunday. So, especially with how the race went the day before.
Right.
So we head into race 2. I got everything all straight. My plan was get the first lap out of the way, make sure you get through the pack, just like you did the day before, but settle in. And I did the same thing. I got up to like about 4th on the first lap, and I settled in. And I almost, as my team owner Colin called me, he's like, "What the hell are you doing out there?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You look like you've never ridden a bike before." And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
it took me a solid 4 or 5 laps just to get like kind of back into my groove.
Okay.
So, I did, because I was just being overcautious.
Right.
I
Okay.
wasn't being aggressive. I was aggressive that first lap, but then I just stopped. I went from 100 to 0 real quick.
Wow.
Once I crossed that finish line on the first lap, I was like, all right, cool, let's go.
Okay.
So I got shuffled back to about 7th or so,
Mm-hmm.
7th or 8th. So I kind of I stayed there because me and Avery talked before the race, and we were like, we know we have the pace if we can get away. So we have to work together because we're the two big boys.
Mm-hmm.
And, I kind of stuck with that plan a little too hard during the race because I was like, all right, I got a better drive than him, but I guess I'll just stay here for a second.
Right.
I'll stay here. Oh, no, nobody's not catching him. All right, I got to go. So once I realized I was like, I'll give him half a lap. If he's not like making any moves or anything, I'm gonna start making them myself. And his sister Ella was having an amazing weekend.
Right.
She's definitely getting really good in that 400. I know how fast she was from before this year, so she did really really good during Barber. And that second race, she pushed her own win for about like 2 laps after Trenton crashed right in front of her. She pushed her win for about lap and a half, ran the fastest lap of the race by like over half a second.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
oh yeah, and she caught us and started moving her way through, and I'm like, well, damn, all right. Shit. I saw one of the Dreyer bikes fly by me. I'm like, oh, there's Avery again. Oh my God, that's Ella.
Right. Right.
So, um, yeah, we went through, and I started making. I got shuffled back to about 7th with 3 to go. Passed my teammate, then passed Avery, and then Ella was like, I knew Ella had really good pace, so I was like, okay, Ella's super light, so she's gonna be super fast. Hopefully, she can catch a toe with these 3 in front of us, and then
Right.
start making some moves. And I kind of put a little bit too much trust in it. Not saying that she did anything wrong. It's just the fact where it's like, it's hard with the 3 riders in front. 2 of them are probably the most aggressive riders in this class. So when you try making a pass on them, they'll either shut the door or just throw all their weight on you.
Right.
Because one of them did take out Ryan during that race.
Right. Right.
So it's like everything's going like they're super aggressive, and I'm fine with it. I'm used to it by now. But like your first year, I remember doing my first year, and I'm like, holy crap, these guys don't even care. Like they'll do
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So getting around that mindset and getting used to riding like that, that it's hard to do it because if you're not consistently riding at that level and doing that type of racing with those type of people,
Right.
you get in trouble like at local races when you're trying to like keep on working on that craft because it's local racing. No one's trying to do it. And it's not for money. It's not for anything. It's we're out here trying to have fun, and you're out here riding like it's a MotoAmerica race. And I had
Right.
to find that fine balance.
Oh.
So yeah, followed Ella for a little bit, and luckily, last lap, she kind of went for a dive bomb under Yandel in the last corner and got her nose chopped and kind of lost her drive out of the corner. And I got in her draft and pulled out the right time and beat her by I think it was 1,000th of a second
Okay.
to get 4th for the race 2. So definitely better than the race before. Not where I want to be,
Right.
but
Right.
that round I knew was going to be a interesting round.
Right.
So got that out of the way. I ended up at the end of the weekend. I'm in 5th in points right now. So just got to keep on. We got Road America next week, and that's going to be. I don't know what we're gonna do
Right.
for sure. I'm a big boy,
Right.
and I need to work on my talk.
I was gonna say, how do you like that track?
I've never been.
Oh, okay. So it'll be your first time.
The next 3 rounds are I've never been to before.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I got to assume you're going to do just fine, just based on your experience at Barber, and since it hasn't been the best experience in the first few times you've been there, and still, time wise, you're right there, and so I think you'll be fine. Now, is it? With everything that's going on, I assume it's more, raise your mind state and stuff like that. So, how after, the van breaking down and just the weekend, like, what do you do or what are you doing to kind of get you ready? Is it, and Barber is a few weeks away? I'm sorry,
Road
Barber.
America?
Yeah, Road America.
Road America is next week.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So quick.
So, yeah, no, we have next week, and we have week off, then Brainerd.
Okay.
So, mentally, I wouldn't be lying if I said I wasn't fighting demons every once in a while.
Well, we all
you always do. I fight demons all the time, and very common for me to get into my head. So I was definitely in my head after Loudon at the first round of Loudon this year. Just like I get into a point where it's like I do all this pro racing and I commit my whole entire life into it, but it's like I forget the fun aspect. So it's like struggling for money and all this other stuff. Like there's so much stuff that goes on in my brain. Like not to sound like fucking poor me, but it's like I'm not. My parents definitely, they helped me my whole entire life, and I don't get the same support anymore.
Right.
Which as I shouldn't. I'm 21. I'm growing up, so it's all out of my pocket. I have to look at my bank account, which I don't want to every once in a while, and look and see if it's possible if I can go to the next round. And luckily, one of my friends, Mike Schmidt, gave me a job in the last month, and I've been working as much as possible, but with my race schedule, it's hard. But he just tells me, just text me when you want to come in. So we're machining helicopter parts for Sikorsky helicopters and making a whole bunch of stuff. So it's super cool. Right. I love the job, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity because it's helping me. It's definitely helping me, ease that one problem in my head so I can focus on the other stuff. But yeah, the vans, you can't really change it. I still haven't got a call back. I don't even want to think about how much I have to drop once that. Right. I'm hoping it's in the middle of like July when I'm off for a month. Yeah. I have, no joke, a month off between July and August. So,
okay, there you go.
Or the third week of June and August. I have like a month and a half off.
Right.
I have like one race in between.
Right. And that's the reality for a lot of riders. Not a lot. I won't say like I know the percentage, but just it is at that level. And I think we've talked about this like the very first time you came on the show. And for folks that may not know, who don't really follow motorcycle racing like that, or car racing, because I think those two are kind of similar. Where there's a good amount of when you ride for a team, there's a good amount of capital that the rider still has to bring to the table and stuff like that. Which takes away from having the fun, because that's the business side, and it's not always as it's not always pleasant, right?
No, it's definitely rough. It's definitely and the hard part is like injury is just that's the worst part of all of it. It's like my ankle is all messed up right now. My wrist is all messed up right now. It's like I try not to use an excuse. So, I put a brace on and I try covering it, and half times I don't even wear a brace, so I don't have that thing to go to.
Right.
I'll let people know and be like, this is what's going on, and I'm not going to use an excuse. I'm just going to keep going. But it's like I've messed up. It's hard because, I've been through it before. I've messed up both my ankles. I've messed up both my wrists before. So, now that I re-injured my ankle and re-injured my wrist, that I've gone through this whole entire process before, where now I have to go through it again and, just fight through the mental part of it again, which, that if you're not fighting through the mental stuff, then you might as well not be a racer at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's really, you really can't escape that side of it.
Hmm.
I don't think any athlete can escape that side of it, because that is the, I forget, I think I saw an actor, it said it's like, it's never too late, it's only too late when you quit.
Hmm.
So as long as you got that, that thing in you to make you get up and try and push through, and to never give up, because at the end of the day, that is the difference. And like you say, if you're an athlete, it's hard not to get in the game and not be hurt, and
For
trying to do
sure.
it and trying to be the best version of that.
For sure. There's definitely that part. And it's just like, I, I look back at like some of my injuries that I've gone through, and it's like, the biggest one is like I look back at like the time I broke my ribs and punctured my lung, and then I was back a week and a half after, back on a 600 for my first ever time at Loudon. So I look back at that stuff. I'm like, damn, all right. Like, from the outside, the brain's a wonderful and a horrible thing. The brain, you remember a lot of things, but
Right.
the one thing you don't remember is how much it really hurt. Because if
Right.
you really remember how much things hurt, then you won't do it again because
Right.
you're scared of it.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about muscle memory, right?
Hmm.
You'll always get back to that place. So, you know what I mean? And, it's this is probably, for smarter people than me, but the brain is a beautiful thing if you can control it, manage it, and use it, and keep it as sharp as possible. But yeah, what you're doing is pretty incredible. And, there's always going to be something to say, hey, maybe I shouldn't, right? Because, especially, like the van breaking down, and just traveling by yourself, because it is, traveling by yourself is not the same, obviously, as when you have somebody with you, because now
Yeah.
you got to pay attention to everything. You got to be on time. You got to, it's different. It's nice when you have somebody you can do all that. So, that is pretty crazy. So now you have Road Atlanta coming up, and I believe you have another round, and then you're doing the Classic.
Yeah. So I looked at the schedule coming into the year, and I knew it was actually going to be a 5 week stint. So luckily, I kind of this whole van thing and everything kind of like got me out of it, which I'm super happy about.
Right.
Um, but so we had Barber last week. This weekend, I was supposed to be at Atlanta doing a N2 endurance, and luckily, not luckily, but everything happens for a reason. And then I also got to stay home and work and kind of just relax, and I'd rather do that at times.
Right.
So, now I leave on like Tuesday night or Wednesday morning for Wisconsin for Road America, and then I race all weekend, drive immediately after my race. I pack up and start driving home, and get as far as I can on Sunday night, get home Monday morning. We swap over some stuff, and then Tuesday morning, I'm heading up to Loudon for the Loudon Classic. So I'll be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
And then at that time, I head home Sunday night, get home. Monday, we swap the bike back. And then Tuesday, midday, I head out for Minnesota for Brainerd.
Right. So yeah.
So it's definitely, it's busy. But you know what? I'm riding a motorcycle. I
Yeah.
can't complain.
I was gonna say, and it's kind of the thing. I mean, I know you did a lot of dirt biking before and race Loudon and stuff like that. I believe you're not doing as much dirt biking this year. But when the schedule is that crazy, and is it easier now to kind of go on autopilot? Like, you got all this stuff you got to do, so there's no level of anxiety or whatever. It's just like you just keep going, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what I have to do. It's the part where it's like the anxiety comes in, as we were talking about before, the money part, where
Right.
you look at it and you're like, okay, especially now, because like I knew what it cost to drive my van. I knew exactly what it cost. Now I have a diesel, and I really haven't had to spend money on diesel in my life, so that's a whole new financial thing.
Right.
And look, I don't know how many miles per gallon I get towing, so I don't know if I'm going to be spending more or less money, but I know I'm going to be spending more. So it's like, you look at that, you look at everything coming in, and you're like, okay, I need to do X, X, and X so I can make it here. And then after this weekend, with this stuff going on, say bonuses or sponsors or something, like, you got to figure out what money you're coming in and how much you're going to be spending within those weeks.
Right.
Because it's not like I'm home long enough to go out and spend money.
Right.
Like, whether on like food or something. It's just like, it's more the fact where it's like, okay, the nice thing about these 3 weeks is sure, it's going to suck to pay for gas and find and make sure I have enough money to do these. But it's also the point where I'm not going to be able to have that free time to do anything where I'm going to go out, spend money on food. I'm not going to go out and spend money on things I don't need. And I've been very good in the last however many years not doing that. The only thing that really gets me is golf. That's can't really go against golf.
I was gonna bring it up. I was gonna say, so you're not playing as much golf? So.
I'm still playing like 4 or 5 times a week, but
okay.
It's also I'm a member down the course, so it's
Right.
like we have a one-time fee at the start of the year that's already paid for, so you just play throughout the year.
Right. So
that's the cool part about the traveling part, though, where I made a promise to myself at the start of the year, where I said, if I'm going to do this and commit this time and all this travel, and I didn't know, I was only planning on doing 2 rounds by myself, but now I'm doing 3. But I'm going to go, and every time I travel, have a long travel, like not like a Loudon or a quick trip. I want to at least stop in a different state and play golf. Just to try, just play different, I love golfing. I'm not bad at it. So it's like, I'll go enjoy what I like doing for, golfing's my, like, my chill out, I would say chill out, but I get pissed with it. But, I love golfing. So,
Right.
I'll go to a different course. I'll get to experience it in a different state and go have some fun while, I get a chance to stop driving. I'll probably crank out like 11, 12, 13 hours of driving.
Right.
And then stop and go golf.
Okay.
So do that, get to relax. Like, I get to leave a little bit earlier because I have a lot more free schedule than me and my dad.
Right.
If my dad has to go with me, we have to leave at a certain time because he has to work till a certain time, and then we're going to be rushing throughout the night to get to the place that we have to be.
Right.
So
on one hand, it's nice because you can move at your own schedule, but you're on your own.
Yeah. So there's the pluses and minuses, but we did very well last weekend. Me, Chuck, and Phil, we did a great job. And then I talked to Chuck about it because Chuck was the guy that was helping me, and I was like, "Hey, Chuck, he felt really bad for what happened on Saturday with the shifter." I was like, "Dude, stuff happens. That's part of racing, but it's the part where it's like these guys, this whole entire MotoAmerica crew, whatever, we'll say Junior Cup, every team, this is their second round together." And I'm not saying this is my second round with my team, but this is my first round with you.
Right.
So we're a round behind everyone. So look at what we've done. And now we move forward. Now we're at our second round.
Right.
So now we fix out the little bugs and the kinks, and then we move on to Road America, where not in a bad way, but it's not a skill track. It's you get lucky at the right time, or you plan it out at the right time and your strategy works. But it's all about draft at Road America for the 400s at least.
Right.
So I'm gonna go there. I know a lot of people there tomorrow doing track days. I know my teammates there doing track day tomorrow. So hopefully, we get some. And luckily, me and my teammate are very close. So they'll give me the data. So at least I have a baseline.
Nice.
So now it's just I don't have to worry about that stuff. Now I just have to go on and learn the track. So. And luckily, I've been very good at learning tracks, whether it was, Daytona this year or Road Atlanta. I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to do my homework that I always do to learn a track and keep that momentum rolling.
Nice, man. Hey, man, we're going to be rooting for you over here at B4evaKool. And before I let you go, man, lately I've been seeing on TikTok that I see some folks that are jumping in front of the microphone and telling people it's okay to start riding on a 600 or 1,000. And I figure you're a pro rider. What are your thoughts on new riders? And this is street riding because they're not even mentioning the track. So for me, that's a whole different animal because I don't think you can really be a good street rider unless you kind of hone your skills somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's hard for me because I don't ride the street. I've never actually. Funny enough, I ride around my town. I live in a farm town, so I'll just in Connecticut we don't need a license
Right.
to run a 50 and under. So I'll just go ride the ruckus around town. I'll do it every once in a while. But I did my first ever like street ride yesterday. Like I took the PCX 150 scooter. It goes like 65, but I took it 2 hours up to Mass to go pick up this truck,
Mm-hmm.
and it was definitely legal because I definitely have a motorcycle license. But definitely, I definitely just don't use my AMA card for it.
Right.
But, yeah, so I just it's hard because I get it. I see all these guys doing these things on the street, and I've come from such a different background where it's like I've always been told no street, no street, no street, no street. Like you're like don't do it. But I also see some amazing things on the street where it's like seeing some guys on like the tail of the dragon, like doing some crazy stuff that I don't even think I could do. Like
Right.
the guys dragging a knee on an R1, hands crossed. I'm like, damn, like I can't even do that shit. Like, damn.
Yeah.
400. I would say like a 400 or like even like a 660, like the twins, like the SVs.
Right.
I would say like an R7 or like a 660. Something that if you want to go fast, you can go fast in a straight line, but something that's not going to get you in too much trouble if you make a stupid little mistake.
Right.
Because those are sixes and those are 1000s. I couldn't even imagine that. Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
After a certain point, there's no return.
No. You're taking off for you didn't even book a flight,
Yeah.
and you're taking real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean I haven't seen any of that stuff yet, but I I would say not a 600. Okay, you know what? 600 maybe.
Okay.
1000 absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because then the fact about a 1000 also, it's so much money. If you have that much money to spend on 1000, you might as well buy a 400 and go do a track day with the same exact money, and
Right.
you can do so much more fun and learn so many more things with the same money that you spend on a track day that you do if you buy 1000 for the road that you're going to run and get chased by cops and probably trash your bike.
Yeah, I would say because I don't know how many of those guys. I mean, yeah, the folks that do the canyon riding and stuff like that. And those guys may already and gals may do some track riding as well. So who knows? But I think it's real. Like I remember, starting out on my 848 and going riding with Jess and Lloyd and those guys. On the street and. Yeah, there was definitely things I didn't know.
Yeah,
On a straight line is one thing, but in the corners is different.
man. It must be hard riding with Lloyd. You can't even see anything. The guy blocks up the whole. He's a huge,
Well,
huge man. I
and
love him so much.
and he rides a big bike. He's on an Indian now, like a fully dressed Indian, and he's scraping the pipes on that thing, and
I
it's
haven't
pretty
seen him.
fast.
I haven't seen him in a while. I miss him. He's that crew. Your crew over there was amazing. I love those guys,
Yeah,
especially when we have like the barbecues at night. Just like they try getting the skinniest kid to eat the most just so they can fatten him up. I'm like, dude, it doesn't work. It doesn't work,
it
man.
doesn't not yet. No,
But yeah, no, that's such a good crew.
yeah, no, it's a good time. Definitely a good time. Let's shout out the sponsors and how people connect with you and stuff like that, man.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely B4evaKool. Thank you again for everything, and it's awesome that this is cool for a sponsorship for the fact that like a lot of sponsorships, it's almost like I hate saying this, like almost like a one-way type of deal. Like a lot of people don't understand it. Like it's not a sponsorship. It's like you want to create that partnership
Right.
where it's like, dude, I love coming on and talking about like the whole entire whether it's talking about my racing or just like even what we've talked about, like sharing my opinions on stuff. It's like it's cool because you get to hear things that you won't really get to hear through whether MotoAmerica or social media.
Right.
You don't get that part. So
Right.
this is a really cool opportunity. I'd like to thank you for it.
Oh man, appreciate that.
And definitely want to thank my parents, my grandmother, Alpha Omega, Barcon Racing, Barton Construction, KYT Helmets, Anthem Leathers, Alpha Omega. I think I might have said that already. K-Tech Suspension, Dunlop Tires, Wrenchright, Karen Media, Blood Lubricants. You can tell I haven't been on a podium in a little bit. It's rough.
It's all good, man. The good thing is that you have a lot of sponsors, so that's good.
Yeah, no. Oh yes, Lily 990, Matt Lilly, huge sponsor. Bows Racing, Triple Strong, just everyone that supports me. I really appreciate it. I can find me on Instagram at Eli Block _. My Facebook is Eli Colby. I don't even know what my TikTok is. It might be Eli Block 92 or something.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Might not go want to watch those.
Right.
But yeah, it's hopefully the first 2 rounds are out of the way. We got another 4 to go, so head down and keep on pushing.
Nice, man. Well, awesome, man. Yeah, 5th in the championship is pretty good. Obviously, you're trying to go up, not go down. So, but that's not bad after a couple of rounds. And you didn't have the best weekends overall. So I know when you do, it's going to be even better. And like I was telling TJ, like talk about MotoGP. I'm like, Jorge Martin hasn't made the mistakes that these other riders has made yet. But you're not wishing bad on anything. But the way motorcycle racing goes, it's an ebb and flow. So everybody gets their turn at getting in the wash.
For sure, and we've all talked about it with the Junior Cup. There's been some riders who have had a perfect season so far. We know their past. And that's the thing. Everyone's past, and you can say, obviously people change. People get a lot better. People are more consistent. But
right.
They're right now. You can see it in Junior Cup. Some of them are having a really good season, but they're riding the same exact way.
Right.
So it's not like you don't want to hope anything on them, but it's almost an any minute type of deal.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
We'll see how the rest of the year goes, and yeah, we'll we're hopefully can squeeze an update in between the Road America and the Classic, but I might have to do another Classic, so
you got you.
We'll figure it out.
No doubt, we'll definitely figure it out. The next few weeks is going to be definitely crazy for me as well, but we'll definitely get caught up as soon as our schedules allow it. And I appreciate you coming on, man, and taking the time, man.
Thank you. Anytime. Well, I hope, your truck gets fixed so you can go to Roebling. And, again, congrats on the growth in your channel. And hopefully we can keep on getting this going.
Yeah,
Get a little bigger.
Definitely, man. Thanks. Have a good night. Peace.
Peace.